Welcome to the Indie KidLit podcast. Join Marti Dumas and Elena Page on their quest to help children's and middle grade authors find the right audience and sell more books.
Hi. Welcome to the Indie KidLit podcast. I am Elena Page and my co-host.
I'm Marti Dumas.
Excellent. Do you like the way I called you the co-host? I'm the host, and you're the co-host.
I will gladly be the co-host.
We'll swap next time around, I promise, Marti.
No, it's okay. I'm good.
So we're having a special show, not an interview today, where we discuss the interviews we've had so far and the amazing things we've learnt from those interviews. And how we can use that information to help us and hopefully help you. How else should I have summarized that, Marti?
No, I think that was perfect. I think that, that was perfect. We're trying to learn from the people that we're interviewing with, and legitimately we're doing that. So this will be us talking about that.
Yep. Great. So do you want to go first?
Sure. Are we doing where we are kind of saying, should we give people a baseline, like kind of let them know where we are in the books that we have out? I think you've been publishing longer, so I think you should go first.
I don't think I have.
No, you definitely have.
Hold on, when did you? No, when did you? Look and listen to us. We've never met before. This is our first time we're talking to each other. Yeah, we're like strangers on air all of a sudden. I don't know. See, for me, I guess I was publishing kind of earlier, but I only really turned serious last year.
Okay.
So in my mind, and so this is proof. My Amazon stats start in July of last year.
Okay, so that's okay. So in terms of that, my first book that I published intentionally and seriously came out in June 26th, 2015. So then do I have a 6-month jump on you? There you go.
Yeah.
Fine. Fine. By my own rules, then I will go first. You stink.
That's a year jump on me. Isn't that a year? That's a year jump on me.
You were June in 2016?
I was July.
July? Oh, yeah. No, so then, yes, that's a whole year. That's a whole year. Wow. Yes.
I know.
So, does that make me a veteran? In this space? Am I now a veteran?
You're a veteran.
That would be hilarious. That's sad and funny.
And I'm the newbie. Yeah. So
that's really funny. We are all in trouble. If I'm the veteran, we are all in trouble.
So if we're comparing to another popular podcast, you're Mark Dawson.
Oh, okay. Could I actually have the Mark Dawson cash? That would be great.
And I'm the newbie one.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's great. I'll definitely have that new life goals. Have the Mark Dawson cash.
Life goals.
So I have hashtag life goals. So I have two kinds of books that are out. The first book that I have out is a standalone middle grade, younger end of the middle grade fantasy book called Jayla and the Wolves. Mm-hmm. And I don't actually do very much with it in terms of marketing at this time. By very much, I mean, I do nothing at all with it in terms of marketing at this time. And I have a series of illustrated chapter books that are transitional chapter books. That's called Jane Toussaint the Greatest. And there are 4 books in that series out. And the first one of those came out June 26th, 2015. And that series is the one that I actually put marketing effort into. Mostly I started out by listening to, joining Nick Stevenson's course, and then subsequently Mark Dawson's Facebook ads course. It's probably very difficult to tell that I'm a really introverted, kind of shy person
You are not.
Because, oh, I totally, totally am. I am not shy with children at all. I love hanging out with children. I was a classroom teacher for 13 years. So that's my like safe space. So then that's definitely not the case when I'm around children, but I'm definitely that way for adults. I am sitting alone in my house right now, so it's a little different for you. And then also I like have kind of a like a forward personality, but it doesn't mean that I'm not like a shrinking violet on the inside. I'm definitely a shrinking violet on the inside. So for me, the Facebook ads course and the mailing list things that came from Nick Stevenson for the mailing list bit, and then the Facebook ads course from Mark Dawson were really key in my deciding that I really could make this work and find an audience, because I didn't have to do it necessarily in person. All the other children's book authors that I know who are even being moderately successful are really spending a lot of their time networking with other adults in the human world. And for me, that was going to be difficult. Not impossible, but hard to do. So I've really done a lot with Facebook ads with my Jade and Toussaint series. And I've had the support. I have a small indie press that is called Plum Street Press. And so then that means that there's like a small group of investors, both small investment and small number of people, for to be able to have a little bit of money to start up with. And we have a few other authors in there, but that means that when I'm doing things with Facebook advertising, I'm not just doing it with my own stuff, I'm doing it with other things too. But I haven't really done very much of it with Jayla and the Wolves, just mostly for the Jade and Toussaint series. And it has really helped to find audience. And in terms of the mailing list things, I did start off in the beginning doing a lot of the suggestions from Nick Stevenson, which were great. They were really helpful. And I had asked Nick in like a chat, like I've never had a conversation with Nick Stevenson, but in a chat window during one of the mini, like, they're not called conference calls. What do you call them? Webinars. In a webinar. Yeah. And I asked him before buying the course, does this work for children's books? And he said, I don't know. We can find out. And I was like, that's a perfect answer, because I like the fact that he was upfront about that, I felt was really cool. And also then that it was so much more likely that the information in the actual course was going to be true and useful, because he was really upfront about that. And so I went into it knowing that it wasn't going to be directly applicable, but that it was going to be a starting point. And so then that's kind of where, so I started off by doing some ads, Facebook ads, for building the mailing list. For me, that has not been very fruitful. I've definitely had lots of people sign up for the list, but I have put them onto a side list over time because they have not been really engaged for me. But the other tips on building lists, getting people from the back of the people who've signed up from the back of my book, those people are very engaged. And so then I have shifted efforts from mailing list building via Facebook ads to only trying to push the first book in my series via Facebook ads. So that's where I am.
So how many books in that series?
There's 4 books in the series that are out right now. And they're all
and any more to come?
We will definitely have 5. That's what my little group there will definitely be 5 of them. Maybe there will be more eventually, but I promised 5. So then there will be 5. And the 5th one is mostly done. So then like, hopefully that works out. But the series is probably another useful bit of information about that series is that the first book is perma-free, or that's not really a thing. The first book is price matched by Amazon. and which means that it's available on a lot of platforms. The rest of the series is currently in Kindle Unlimited, like it's in KDP Select, and I don't see that as a long-term strategy, but that is the way that I'm going with it at this time. And so then that impacts how things work for me, marketing. But I don't feel as bad about having those be in KDP Select for now, the ebook versions of them, because the print books are the ones that really sell for me. So the print books are available everywhere. So there's definitely a presence for the series everywhere, which I think might not be the case. Like when I hear people who are writing for the adult market talking about KDP Select versus Wide, I also hear that they're not really selling paperbacks. And so then when they're saying your books are not available on the other platforms, they're literally meaning not available on the other platforms, which is definitely not the case for my series.
So for you, it's still in paperback where the sales mostly come from? Mostly.
Easily, at this time, 95% of my sales are paperback sales.
Wow.
And I say sales. The first book in the series has a lot of downloads, or a lot, relative lot for kids books, a lot. But I obviously don't make money off that. So sales, actual sales, 95% paperback easily.
Gotcha. Yeah. So people read the first one and then go, wow, this is great. I'll get this in paperback for the kids, and we'll get the rest of the series in paperback for the kids, or for the,
I think that that's what happens. I think that people, I don't even necessarily think, as a parent, I would love that. As a parent, I definitely read the ebook version if I can for free before deciding if I'm going to buy a paperback online, because in a bookstore, I would just stand in the bookstore and read the entire book before I bought it, because I want to know what I'm paying money for my children before I just pass it off to them. So I think that happens. And then I also think that people go to look at the free ebook, that like takes a barrier away. So they go to look at the free ebook and then end up buying the paperback instead, because they're like, oh, this looks cute maybe, and I don't really want to do ebooks with my kids, so I buy this paperback instead. So
nice, terrific, great info.
Okay, and
very good.
So newbie, what do you have?
I'm a virgin. I'm a publishing virgin. Well, I mean, I published a non-fiction book back in, oh God, do I remember the year? 2006. But it was the days where you publish it and you print it and you keep it in your garage.
Oh yeah, I don't want that.
So that's what I thought. And then unfortunately what happened was I slept through the introduction of the Kindle. I bought one myself, but it didn't ever occur to me that I could put my book up there for sale. I missed the whole revolution, and happened upon Joanna Penn one day last year when I was like, that's it. Like, my life is over. And then I went, oh my God, like, because she's so positive, like, she's so like, you can publish your book. And I just like drinking her into my ears as I'm walking my dog, going, maybe I could, like take the book that I've got in the garage, 2 of them, and put them on the Kindle. And that's sort of where it all kind of started. So I was really, way behind. But at the same time, didn't know how to do anything. So I've literally learned everything I've learned now in the last really year. And it's amazing how fast you can go when you really commit. Like, I sort of amaze myself like that I've gone as far as I have, not with finding my audience or making sales, but that's sort of next, but with having produced. So last year I did 8 books. And
wow.
I think 8 books, and 7 of them were in the kids field, and 1 was a non-fiction. But I did 7 in 1 year, and it was amazing just to be able to put that out like that. and learn the ropes as I was going. But I think probably what I struggle with is consumption versus creating. So on the one hand, because I'm essentially new, and I say this all the time to you, and you give me looks and go, "Oh, stop that!" But I'm like, I actually don't know how to write fiction, and you're always like, "Stop that!" And I'm like, "No, I really."
I'm giving you that face right now. This is
So and that's cool, because my one great strength is I'm really good at failing publicly. Love that. No issues. I'm not good at failing, but I'm very good at failing publicly. So I'm happy to kind of put junk out and have you go, "What is that crap?" And me go, "I know, right? That was the first thing I wrote." Like, I don't get embarrassed by that. Like, I just keep going. So that's probably one of my little strengths in a way.
That's amazing. I wish that I had that strength. I'm so self-conscious.
Yeah, like I think that's because you're the introvert. I'm the extrovert. You're the yin and I'm the yang.
Oh, we go together.
I know. I know, it's funny. But yeah, like, it's kind of because one of my best friends is very like, I'm going to publish a book when it's perfect. And I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to publish a book now." And she's like, "Your book's a bit average." And I'm like, "I know, and I'm publishing it anyway." And that's sort of the approach, and it's not average in the sense that it's not properly published, but, there's a certain level of skill from having written for a certain number of years and knowing how to tell a story well. I don't want to spend 10 years learning how to tell a story well. I'd rather write it, put it out, and let the market teach me how to tell a story well, like by saying, "Oh, we liked this bit and hated that bit. Why did you do that?" So yeah. Anyways, I've completely gone off track, but
no, you haven't.
So my sort of. So the books that I've written so far are all kind of in the one world. And the world sort of started by accident, because in my other life, I work as a psychologist and in healing, in alternative medicine. And so I just did the first book, which was originally a CD, the Meditation Adventure for Kids series, is like one character talking to you. So it's like first person, and the character, so it's kind of unusual, which is probably already a bit hard to market. And not even from the perspective that it's called a meditation, but because one character's talking to you the whole time. And it's actually quite hard for one character to talk to you the whole time, because she has to tell you what's happening and what the other characters are doing in the scene in a way that you feel part of it. So as I'm like writing it, I go, "Oh God, why did I ever take this project on? I'm just mad." But
craft is strengthening in first person narration, so that's good.
And the irony is, my pet hate is reading first person books. I'm always complaining about first person, like, "Oh God, did I buy that book? I didn't realize it was first person." And then one day I woke up and went, "Oh my God, I didn't realize I write in the first person. That is really bad." So I can't wait to stop writing in the first person and to finally write in the third person, which is the books that I prefer to read for some reason. But I think it's because for me, when I read a lot of kids' books, and I've read a lot of kids' books in fiction before I decided to write kids' books. That's the genre I read, which is probably a really embarrassing thing to say on air. But it's, and not even just because I read it to the kids, but because, I don't know, like, I like those stories. They're imaginative, and it's sort of a really nice stage in life. You learn a lot. That's the learning phase for me. Not that you don't learn in other phases, but it's just a magical time.
Absolutely. The reading kids' books, if a book is good, it's a good book. I told that to my husband when we were first starting to hang out, and I was passing him the Harry Potter books. And a good book is a good book. It's a good book. Yeah. Goodnight Moon is an excellent book.
Yeah.
Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus, an excellent book. But it's a good book. It's a good book. So it doesn't matter which age group it was written for, if it's good.
Yeah, but if I'm reading a kid's book in first person, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to strangle this 13-year-old, like, because I'm so in them, like that. I'm like, I don't want to know what's happening in your head. Whereas, I mean, for a 13-year-old probably loves that. For me, I guess I'm more kind of fantasy adventure stories. I like to know, sort of the narration. It's kind of my favorite bit in some ways. So anyways, so yeah, the series has so far 4 books in the series, and then because I had some spare illustrations that I was going to do something else with, I wrote 3 kind of picture books, but they're rhyming books, which I know is a complete no-no, but they're kind of creative. They're a bit unique and wacky, and they sort of have their place actually, because they're kind of rhymes about life and learning about life. And I sort of threw them out there thinking, oh well, I mean, I was going to waste the pictures anyway, but I'm surprised because they, especially one of the 3, there's 3 of them, one of the 3 does really, really well. And by well, I'm not talking like about tons of sales, but it does a few sales a week, which to me, for a series that I kind of just went, oh, that's not going to do anything, has made me reevaluate that maybe there's, it's actually not such a bad series after all. But the Meditation Adventure for Kids series, I've got 3 more that I'm finishing. I'm almost done. And then, yeah, but in terms of marketing it so far, again, like you, I've done Nick Stevenson's course, and if it wasn't for that course, Nick, we're giving you so many plugs today.
So many plugs. You can feel free to give us any amount of affiliate income that you would like, Nick. We will definitely accept that.
We'll take it. But I wouldn't have met you and the other authors, and for me as the extrovert person, probably that's the best part. It's like I walk around now and I'm like, I have author friends. I'm a real author because I have author friends, not because I sell books, but because I have author friends. Because that's just my personality. I'll always measure my success in friends, not sales, which is where I fail. But that's been just life-changing, because to be able to collaborate and to be honest, the collaboration has probably been the biggest strength for me, because my books were so niche that when I did the whole perma-free thing, which I did, and it was good for beginning to get sales. Probably the difference between your books and my books is they're between 36 to 50 page, 8 by 10 full color books. So they're priced between like $14.95 and I think $16.95, which, isn't like a ton, but it's definitely like, a much bigger cost point, which I think makes people go, look, unless I really love the book, I'm not buying the book. So, paperbacks, I might have had, I think I've made a couple of $100, like, which isn't really anything, but that's probably like a factor. So whereas ebooks, I've actually done a lot better. So that's, which is
okay.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that makes the difference. When people see the price, they kind of go, oh, not sure about that. But and I took the first book off perma-free when I released the other 3 books in the series so far, and it consistently gets the most sales, which is interesting. It's still it's almost like people will still get that first book if they want to try the series. I'm surprised by that.
Yeah. So
so just difference.
Yeah, no, I feel like that's, I hadn't already thought about all of the things that you've said, even though I kind of knew a lot of the points that you were making there. The price point is a thing that we really haven't spent as much time talking about as a group of indie KidLit authors who've come together thanks to Nick Stevenson. See how we did that again? See how I sneaked that in for you, Nick, one more time? Of course, we made a little side group of people, and I agree with you. The people is the best part of that. That whole rising tide lifts all boats. I'm learning a lot from that group of people, and that's definitely why I thought your idea to start this podcast was brilliant, because there are so many people that we're learning from, and we should share it. Like, we should definitely share it as we're going. But that price point thing is not a thing that we have really talked about a whole bunch inside of that group. And so then that's really interesting thing to think about here, is how is that impacting it? There obviously there are a lot of like theories about whether or not the perma-free is even worth doing or working on. I don't plan to have the first book in the series free forever for the Jade and Toussaint books. Originally, I said that I was gonna have it free until it got a certain number of reviews, because I knew that it would be easier. It's still not easy to get reviews. People don't just like say, here's a review, but that it would be easier to get reviews while it was free. But I hit that point and I still haven't pulled it off. I think I'm nervous because I do feel like it's working to a certain extent, and I have this fear that if I take it off of that Amazon will not price match it again if the thing that I was doing doesn't work as well. Like if I do experiment doesn't work.
Well, you know, there's I remember one day, and I'm going off track, but I remember one day in one of the groups seeing I can't remember the author, but one of the authors in there, one of her strategies was to purposefully take the perma-free off for like 2-3 weeks, and then she would put it back, and every time she put it back, it was like a strategy, like the machines would all pick it up and promote it more, because it was considered a new perma-free book, not an old perma-free book. And I was like, oh really? Because I'm like I don't want to risk taking it off. What if they don't let it back in?
Yeah,
but
that's bold. I think of myself as bold in some of the things, and I'm like kind of fearful about that, which I should not. I should let fear go and not be in that place about it. But it took me 4 tries to get them to set it to price match it, and then like another 6 tries to get them to price match it on Amazon UK. And so then I am afraid.
Is that true? Gosh.
Oh no, absolutely. It's definitely true. So I don't know. But I guess I figured someone eventually said to me, they're like, you just have to catch the right person. Like if you get too many grumpy people in a row, then they're like, try it at different times of day. So then I started trying it, like setting the clock, emailing it in the middle of the night.
Oh my gosh.
But eventually it worked out. But it does make me a little bit more apprehensive about that. Okay, so should we get on to the lessons that we have learned from people? Okay.
Yep. Let's do it.
So should we do them in order? Because I don't think the list that I have here is in order.
Oh, it doesn't matter. We'll do them all over the place. Get people guessing.
We'll get them guessing. So we have had so far 6 guests on our podcast, and this first set of them we've actually recorded kind of in a quick block. In future, we're hoping as we grow up as a podcast that we will be recording periodically, recording once a week or once every other week or so. But we've recorded a bunch at the front end, so this will, like, it's a condensed time period this time, but that's okay because it's sort of like a baseline. So one of the people that we talked to was Justin Johnson. And I got a lot out of Justin's interview. He has been doing this longer than both of us, and has cycled through a few of the iterations of indie publishing. I think he was in, I know, I have to stop saying that. I think when I know the information, I know that he was indie publishing before the big switch happened with KDP Select, where they started paying for page reads versus for borrows. And so he talked to us about that. But the thing that really stuck with me from Justin was him talking about Amazon Marketing Services ads, the Amazon ads, and then also the price of his books. And he at the time was saying that he was playing around with the pricing of his books. And I realized that I had done that in the dumbest way possible, the pricing of my own books. Maybe not the dumbest way possible. I won't be like that self-deprecating, but I was
How
like,
did you do it?
I'm a parent and I buy books for my children, maybe too many books for maybe too many books for my children. And so I just price them where I would be kind of willing to buy them as a parent, where I wouldn't scoff at the price of the thing as a parent. Like, oh, that's ridiculous, I'm not buying that. Or that's ridiculous. Like, you can read that here in the bookstore and you're going to be finished with that in 15 minutes. And then you can buy something that will take you longer. Like that would be me. And so I priced them like that with, the entire market research group of my mind being what set the price on that. So after our conversation with Justin, I went back and did it a little bit more scientifically, which is more me, if I'm being honest with myself. And I looked at the book on the books on their various ranking pages. So their big category is children's chapter books. And so I looked at where they were ranking, and they're usually top 20. Where's the wood where we're knocking on? They're usually top 20.
Terrific.
On children's chapter books. And so then I was looking at the books around it, and my books were absolutely the cheapest books on that page. And why? Like, why have that be? Yes. So I didn't make it the most expensive books on the page, but I bumped them up so that they were hanging in the middle. And so far, they're still selling at exactly the same rate. So actually, they might be selling a little bit better, but I also started Amazon ads as a result of our conversation with Justin. So that might have something to do with them selling at the same rate. So we'll see. Okay, what were you saying? I cut you off.
So so how is that ebook and paperback? You put them both up?
I did not move the paperbacks up. The paperbacks are already expensive for what they are. So a comparable book to my series is a Jack and Annie book, like a Magic Treehouse book, or so like a Magic Treehouse book is about comparable. And I can easily get any Magic Treehouse book for $3.99 or $4.99, and that's me paying full price in a bookstore. So, but they're being mass produced, so then it's cheaper, right? And they're being mass produced, they're being warehoused, whatever. So my books are $5.99, which is they're good. Like, they're good books. They're cute. They definitely serve their purpose. They are like the Jack and Annie books and comparable illustrated chapter book series. Actually, they're more illustrated than a lot of the comparable illustrated chapter book series. But the illustrations are well done, and they're really integrated into the story. Like, it's worth the price, but I would not feel comfortable charging $6.99 for that same book. Not because I don't think it's worth it, but because as a parent, it's too much. So like, if I'm not trying to price people out of the books. Like, there's also a sort of a social mission that goes along with the books. I want to be able to have the books be available widely as much as possible for people who need them. And so then I don't want to price people out of the books. And I actually have had a lot of emails from parents. And a lot for me means maybe 60 emails or 60, 70 emails from parents saying that they appreciate that the book is a reasonable cost, because a lot of times books that fill a niche are expensive, and they can't afford to buy the whole series, or they can afford to let their child look through it at the table where you're selling it at the craft fair, and then they move on or whatever. So so those are they don't make a ton of money per copy, and I understand that, and that's not my strategy. My strategy is getting more of them sold. It's the Walmart strategy, but not at all like trying to take advantage of people. But where it's like less per item and move more product.
And move more. But that's that sounds like books are pretty cheap in the US. Like, that's I mean, I don't know, like, I don't think I've ever bought a book that's under, God, someone's gonna ring me up now and say, have you been into an Australian bookstore recently? Like $15, like That's what I think I pay for all my, like, I'm pretty sure that's what I buy.
Are you buying them hardcovers? Like the hardcovers of mine are more expensive. No. But wait, what's the conversion rate? We should have done this ahead of time. What's the, the conversion rate?
It's about 72 72 cents. So I'm forgetting which direction that goes. But basically I have to pay $1 and a bit to get of my dollar to get to yours. So, it's more. So, if I, obviously your $5 book will cost me, $8, $9 or something.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that my Australia, although I got a recent notification that we need to check on that because they changed something about that. But
the prices, I saw that too.
Yeah. I think
but it's comparably more expensive.
$7.99 in Australia.
Like, see, that sounds so cheap to me. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What?
But these books are not. These books are chapter books. So then they are the traditional chapter book way, where they are black and white. So they.
Nonetheless, that's like, gosh, if somebody seriously gave me a book for $7, $8, like, what is that? I'd buy 10 of them.
Okay, well, you can totally buy 10.
To the neighborhood.
You can buy 10 of mine. Give them to the neighbors. Do it.
I think that the difference is from the Australian point of view, and all right, from my Australian point of view, I haven't talked to all the parents in Australia, people, so settle down. Like when you like, if say there's a book that's $9 or $8, like you said, right? So if I go to buy it, then I've got to ship it, and the shipping then adds up. Like it's quite a bit to ship, and it actually kind of rounds out to about how much I'd pay in a bookstore anyway. So it seems really cheap on Amazon, but then you add the shipping. So I and many of the people that I speak to tend to buy our paper, like we go on Amazon and we read the reviews, and when we like the book, when we want to buy it, we then go on the book depository and buy it there, because that's always going to be like at least a few dollars cheaper. But again, I don't think I've ever paid like under, I've got $10 would be like a bargain, but like 15 to 20, so it's kind of.
Maybe that's why Jayden Toussaint sells in the, I should see, who is that? Like Mark Lefebvre, who like is always telling people that they need to check the prices for where they're selling their books. But they're probably 30 or 40 paperback copies of Jayden Toussaint sell in Australia every month. Maybe that's why. People are looking at it in the bookstore being like, why is this only $7.99? It's like $1. I'll absolutely buy it. So who knows?
Yeah, that's really like good price.
Send you on a reconnaissance mission.
Yeah. So that was useful talking to Justin and just considering the price. And for me, just I think what he encouraged me around was, he had such a decent backlist, so he can, play around with it. Like he packages them up and, like sometimes gives big, like bulk sets of them, and he can really do things with his marketing because he has such a variety of books. And I know after getting off the call with him, I sort of felt like, come on, I want to write some different series, because I've only got the one, and people only think of me as the sort of meditation sweet lady, but I want to have other things like he has, because I love that variety.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, who do you want to talk about next?
Well, should we talk a bit about craft, which was very much Adam and Rachel too. So they both were really, and I consider to be really strong on their craft. Not that the others are not, but that's sort of what came through in their interviews, and their love of the craft. Like they really seem to put. Hopefully they don't ring us and go, "What did we say that?" But that's how we perceived them, wasn't it? It was like, wow, these people know their craft, and they're really dedicated to improving their craft.
Yeah.
So that.
So we had Rachel Toalson, just so that they get their like double plugs out, not for all of our huge audience of listeners, make sure they can hear that name again, and Adam Maxwell. And I got a lot of craft from them as well, that they both really take pride in their craft. Rachel was saying that she started out in journalism. I was like, newspaper writing? What's the name for that? Journalism. And Adam has really like done a good job of researching and diving into craft. He's obviously done courses in school, like in university on it, but he continues to learn. Like if you're talking with him, then he is telling you about the newest thing that he found, or he's found another really good craft podcast. And when you read his writing, it really comes across. His stories they are very well paced. They really move forward in a way that is appealing both to young people and to adults. And so I really got a lot of craft out of that as well. My stories are, well, not the Jade and Tucson stories, those are very quippy, but my fantasy stories that I write are very old school, like kind of slow unfolding narration. And as a writer, I really need to stretch myself to write the other side of it. Like there's nothing wrong with that style, but if I'm going to keep growing as a writer, then I should figure out how also to do the tighter, faster paced, more adventurous kind of stuff. Yeah. Well, it's adventurous for me because it's not the way my brain naturally works.
Yeah, and it's nice to experiment with the different styles. And I love the way Adam, really highlighted that he, writes to entertain the adult too. I'm sure he said that. Was it him that said that? Like he's
I think so, yeah.
The two readers in his mind and growing with the child, in the series. Like it's really like he's really thinking about who is reading it. Whereas I think sometimes as a writer, I just write what I think I know to write, but I'm not actually thinking about how it's being received. And that, for me, when I was listening to both Rachel and Adam, it made me really go, ooh, who's my reader, and how do I want them to, what do I want them to get, and so that they enjoy the pacing and the characters. Like Adam, I love the way he spoke about his characters. They really brought them to life. Even in the podcast. So.
That whole holding the reader in your mind thing is, I think, a really good takeaway from that as well, because that is the beginning of marketing, right? You have to know who it is that you're marketing it to. And that is a mistake that it seems like a lot of people make, where they're saying, oh, my book is for everybody, it's for everyone. But if it seems like it's for everyone, then really you're saying it's for no one. I can find myself, if I'm thinking about myself as a consumer, I can find how I relate to this very specific thing that you say. So for example, if you're saying like, this is for all the moms who are from Australia, I'm not from Australia, but I'm not going to assume, I'm going to hear my connector in that, which is the moms, and think, is there something in that for me, and go for it. But if you say this is for everybody, I probably am like, okay, and keep walking. So that keep holding the reader in mind, I think, is really good for being able to help find your audience as you're moving along. Who is it? Who is having their need filled by this? Who is the person that you're writing to? And I think that's the other thing that I took away from Rachel as well, but from a very different perspective. She is doing a lot of blog writing and really talking to her audience of buyers, not her audience of readers, but she's talking to her potential audience of buyers and giving them lots of useful information now and sort of building a following. But she was saying that this is definitely her career. Like this is definitely her long-term career, and she's okay with it being a slow burn. And I'm okay with it being a slow burn. So that was an important reminder for me that I don't, like, this isn't a firework. Like, I don't want it to like flare and then burn out. Like, I really want to have this be built over time, so that when I look back, I'm like, I have this stable platform of like living of earnings that I'm coming on, and it's consistent, and I can rely on it and not have it be like that one time when I made $80,000 in 1 month, that time.
Definitely. Yeah. And her word count was impressive.
Oh
Remember,
my gosh.
How many millions?
She was like 2 million words. Yeah.
Was it 2? All right.
Yeah, it might have been more. Hold on. It might have been more. That was really impressive in her time management things.
And that's becoming, like, I'm noticing it as being a bit of a theme across the indie world. Like, I'm like, are we all in a race now? Is everybody trying to get as many books out as we can? Because, you know, like, I'm like, God, if I don't say that I do like 8 books this year, then I haven't really done as much as I did last year. You know, like, should I be trying for more, or should I still go? I don't know. I'm putting that out there.
I'm torn about that as well. I'm in there's these little online groups that'll sort of pop up where people will do writing sprints, right? So I'm in a little Facebook group where people will pop in and be like, hey, I'm about to get on. If anybody's on and wants to sprint with me, then that's great, which is good, because it's like, okay, I have a partner. You don't feel alone, even if you're sitting in your house alone. There's somebody else who's writing or whatever. But I am never going to win the sprint like that. It's never a thing. Like, we'll like sprint for half an hour, and the person will come back and they'll be like, I have 3,000 words. And I'm like, I have like 150. I don't know. I realize I'm not gonna win the sprint, but it's important to keep moving forward. So I keep sprinting, not to win the sprint, but just because then I have moved forward a bit in that time period. So same thing, Rachel. I might actually get something done this year. We'll see.
Yeah. So who else? What else did we explore?
So along that same theme for me with the blog posts and thinking about how you are going to find your audience, it's a takeaway from Tara. We talked to Tara. She was saying that she has a really big blog following, and that she's been doing it for, what is it, like 10 years now? And one thing that did strike me about what she said, though, was that I asked her, I guess her blog is mostly pitched at writers, and I asked her if she had it to do over again, if she would do it the exact same way. And she said that she wouldn't, that she would more pitch it at the people that she thought were the potential buyers for her books. I think which were like teachers and parents and librarians, and less at other writers. And I thought, that's like a very clever idea. My blog is definitely not that. It's just me randomly saying stuff about what I'm doing. Hey, I'm doing this thing. Or, hey, I read this book that I thought was good, which is not or organized. So I think that's a really good place to start thinking about it for me.
Yeah, and remembering that Tara isn't an indie published author. Not that we held anything against her for that. I'm sure many of us want to be her. Maybe, I don't know, maybe not. Because, you know, maybe these days it's actually a real choice to be an indie rather than a traditionally published. And I know that traditionally published people don't believe me, but yes, some of us choose to be indies on purpose. It's true. It was interesting to me that she said if she could start over, she would do that. And, you know, as an authorpreneur, it's like, well, why don't you just do it? You know, like, I would just get up and do that tomorrow. You know, I would probably just go, yeah, you know what, I'm going to start a new blog for this. So, that was reflecting on that was interesting for me. That sometimes we really iterate fast. You know, something's not working or that series not working, we probably just go write another one. Because we can do it so fast. Whereas when I often talk to traditionally published friends, they'll do 1, maybe 2 books a year. And it's such a slow process. So probably in their mind to start a new blog is like, you know, a really big event. And I'm putting words into Tara's mouth. But whereas we'd probably just do it really fast. That's how I operate anyway. How do you operate?
I would also switch. I think right now I'm doing a lot of things. For the small press, like we work with a lot of contractors who are helping with things, but things like my blog are like entirely in my domain. And I think that right now I am trying not to be too scattered with the things that I'm working on, but that's definitely, that's a super smart move. And I am going to make that move. But I have to be conscious about making sure that I'm focusing my biggest resource, which is time for me. Time is the biggest one of my things. But I agree with you. Like, go ahead and change it. Like, if I were updating my blog daily and this was just a thing that I did, then I would just make the switch over to do the thing. The fact my blog like languishes and is like a sad child in a corner waiting for attention. So, it's not getting any attention. It's not, but if I were doing that, I would definitely turn on time. It's definitely the advantage of being an indie author is being able to make those decisions. For I keep bringing up my Jade and Toussaint series, but I never pitched it at anybody. I've never pitched it or any of my books at an agent or at a publisher because I didn't trust it. I have lots of friends who are traditionally published, and many of whom, so the main character in my Jade and Toussaint series is a little brown boy, like he's black, like my son. And I have a lot of friends who they don't have a ton of control over what their final product looks like because they're traditionally published. And also a lot of times about their storylines, like they get really strong suggestions from their editors, which maybe they agree with, but also maybe turns the direction of the story. And the first time that I mentioned the possibility of this series to a traditionally published writer friend of mine, the very first thing that she said scared me away. So I won't say which friend it was, although she will know who she is based on the thing that I'm about to say.
Spill it.
But she said, oh yeah, no, that would be really great. Like there needs to be a series about an urban black kid who's also smart. And I was like, ooh, there's something about the term, and obviously urban's great, like it means from city, whatever, but there are lots and lots of books that for me kind of present like a singular view of what that looks like. And if there's going to be a singular view, I would prefer for it to be one that really reflects what my son's life looks like, and so that he and kids like him are able to see themselves reflected, and not just maybe what the media pitches to us as what American black kids lives are like. So then I was like, oh, that's dangerous. I can't put this in the hand of someone else, because if it's not their life, then they maybe see it as a possibility. They'll be like, oh, he needs to be a little street tough or something like that. I'm like, he's not street tough. Like, that's not a thing. He's with his animal cards, and also spouting off random animal facts at people. This is not that kind of
he's
control
really real.
That kind of control you're not going to have if you're giving it up. And maybe I could have really worked hard at pitching and only accepting someone who I felt was going to really be true to the vision. But the fact of the matter is that once I've signed away the rights to it, then I can't control over that anymore. I can't actually make sure that it's going to be true to that vision. So.
And you could always do that now that you've, got some level of a platform going on it. You could always now say, hey, here's the series, you're not touching it, it's doing really well. If you want it, would you ever consider selling rights to it?
If right now, I would say no, not for that one. I would consider it for other people, or maybe if I because it's still so new, right? So I feel like it hasn't found all of the people that we can help it find. But once maybe we hit the spot where I'm like, we've found all the people that we're going to be able to get in touch with, but maybe at that point, a traditional publisher would be helpful in being able to get it in even more I have to say, though, that the other day, a friend of mine, this is a terrible thing, I should not, but a friend of mine texted me a photograph of the first Jade and Toussaint book in some random Barnes and Noble in Manhattan. And I felt so, I felt so excited. I was like,
I know, that's amazing.
I was like, if I were with a traditional publisher, like with a big publisher, then like that would just be the regular thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I still remember that picture of I still remember the picture of your Jade and Toussaint book in Powell's bookstore.
Oh yeah, another friend
in Portland.
of mine. Yeah.
In Portland. It was like, oh my God. Yeah.
Hey, it's so great.
Cool. Yeah, it's a great moment. That's a great moment.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we have that from Tara, who also did a lot of school. She does a lot of school visits, it seems, in her and so then that was another takeaway that I had from Tara. We got off on a tangent about like having control over the stuff, but Tara or Tara, how I'm saying her name wrong. I'm saying it Southern.
It was, remember we kept saying it wrong. It was, oh gosh, Tara with like a short A. Tara.
Okay.
Tara.
I'll put my audiobook there.
Sorry, Tara. We're still saying your name wrong.
I'm sorry that we're doing that wrong. But she does the school visits, and I drew a lot of inspiration from that. Yes. Yeah, that is one of the goals for me, both for last year, which I did a little bit better, and definitely it's on my list of things for this year to do that more consistently and to make an actual plan about it and not just wait for people to invite. Although, that's cool too. People can definitely invite, but to be more strategic about that. And also I was impressed with her that she said she started off not really asking for money or just being willing to take whatever fee that they threw at her. And now she's a whole lot more like, I know my worth, like I know the value of my time in this scenario. And so then she really kind of demands a fair price for her time going out to the school visits. And I thought that was super rad.
Yeah, and it impacted on me when she said that, if you don't charge, then that's sort of undercutting other authors who do as well. Sort of made me go, oh yeah, like, if it's a bit of the kind of standard in the industry, then it's sort of not being nice to the other authors, and we are the one thing I'm really impressed by in the author community is it's like we're such a genuinely friendly, cooperative bunch. Like if we stepped on each other's foot, it would only be completely by accident. I've never seen it. I've never seen anybody go, well, stuff ya, like I'm going to get my book. Everyone's so helpful and encouraging and would hate to upset, a different author. So yeah, that made me kind of go, oh, I don't want to be the author that does that.
Yeah.
Having said that, I'm not sure how I feel a bit, like we interviewed Tara on the schools and also Emma Warner-Reed. Did I get her name right? Emma Warner-Reed.
Yeah, you did.
The author of the Dottie series. She talked a lot about school visits. So Tara was very much sort of an American perspective and Emma was the UK perspective. But I still feel like I'm not sure where Australian schools are and how they operate. And of course, author visits is always going to be very much a local thing. So I'm still feeling probably not as confident about it as you are. And I mean, I don't know, it could just be my perception, but I've still got that thing in my head that if I went to a school and they said, who publishes you? And I don't have a big name publisher, they'll be like, oh, I don't know why. Like maybe they wouldn't, but that's what I've got in my head. So yeah, maybe we need to find an Australian author that's done school visits at some point and ask them.
Maybe we do, or maybe we should maybe we should set up a dummy author and that way there's no risk involved. We can set up a dummy Australian author who's going to be published, and you could check it out and see if that. How that person is received, and then you can follow on when she cancels, you can jump in and be like, don't worry, I can definitely take her place. Yeah.
Because
Sorry.
the funny thing is, when I introduce no, I hear you. But when I introduce myself as an author, like anywhere in Australia, the very first question I get is, who are you published with? And I'm like,
Really?
why do Australians? Yeah. Like I mean, remembering Australia is, sort of an offshoot of England. It's very UK. I mean, it's extremely multicultural. But the convicts are the ones. Sorry, English people. The convicts are the ones that first populated Australia, and so they've got still that English. We're very English mentality, and so it's still a bit sort of that trad publishing kind of world. So if you're not, when I say I'm self-published, they wouldn't even know what indie was. It's they oh that's nice. That's kind of like, oh, how sweet. Yeah, so that feels a bit like a hurdle to me.
So I feel like that is probably also true here, particularly where it comes to children's books, which is like, it was totally by accident that I ended up having some backers for getting started, and they were, and I'm pretty business minded as well. I'm not going to sell myself short in that way, but it wasn't my intention to start a business, right? And it wasn't my intention actually to publish these Jade and Toussaint books. A couple of them read incidentally my Jayla and the Wolves book, which I had written as a gift for my daughter, and just had like a single copy of it printed on blurb, which was also outrageously expensive. If I had that to do over again, I would have done that differently too. But I wasn't thinking about it as a business, it was a gift, right? So they had read it and they were saying, you should write more. And I was like, no. And they really encouraged me to do it. They were like, well, what if you had money? Like, if you had money, what would you do? That kind of thing or whatever. And so then it sort of started that way. But having that probably helps a lot for me. I'm realizing, listening to you talk, because people hearing that there are backers, I think it's just that people are wanting to know that somebody else thought your stuff was good, not just you. So then hearing that there are backers, and that that it is a little publishing company that we do publish other authors besides me, that makes a difference, even just a small one. So I wonder if that would make any difference in Australia as well. What do you think?
Yeah, it might be, and it might just be my mindset, really just as a, not confident new author who still hasn't really decided that I'm worthy of being called, an author. It's probably my stuff that I'm projecting, and then, the other thing is I've really only approached and done some school stuff at my own children's school in different classes. So, but they're an Anglican school. Not that I've got anything against the Anglicans, but they're a bit more prim and proper, and so I'm probably a bit more wacky than prim and proper. So, but I haven't tried any of the local wacky primary schools. So I'm making, I'm taking one scenario and really, it's probably my own fear just being projected, and it's listening to those different authors talk about that, and even. Darcy, when she was talking about selling to the schools and the libraries, my instant reaction when I listened to those interviews was, oh God, I'm not good enough for that. I'm lucky if some little person buys me on Amazon, it's sort of, so it's a mental hurdle. I feel like I've really got to jump this year and just put myself out there and take that risk. And we said, we're not allowed to I'm not meant to get embarrassed, but when it comes to institutions, it's exactly the opposite. I'm like, oh my God, the institution's judging me. That kind of freaks me out.
That's totally fair. Like, what do you think you're going to do this year to tackle that, or in the next couple of months? Like, is there any step in that direction that you think you're going to try to take?
I think once I've finished the series, it'll almost be, remiss of me to not at least try with it. I think up till now I've been saying, well, the series isn't done. But once the series is done and there's, 7 books in the actual meditation series, and 3 in the picture books, all sort of in the one world. It seems that it's kind of silly to at least not try, and maybe not take it as a personal fail if, you know, schools are like, no, we're not really interested in that sort of material, because ultimately it's the books they're not interested in, not me as an author. So then I just have to progress and maybe write some other material that lends itself more to the school environment and to, you know, local library environment.
So the big takeaway for me from Darcy is like right up your alley, which is that, or it seems to be, so let me try it out on you, is that marketing, part of the marketing to education department is giving them what they need. So she did say a lot about looking into the Common Core standards and seeing what were the needs in there and which of her books matched that, and then also going from the other direction, thinking about the standards first and doing the book second. But she also said about making materials that help to support teachers, making guides and classroom guides, and like really making it explicit and easy for them to, teachers have a lot on their plates. I promise you, we have like a lot on our plates. So if you pre-think something, again, it's like I was saying before, where you're saying this is for Australian moms, I'm not going to automatically be like, well, I'm a mom, but I'm not Australian, so it's not for me. But if you put together materials that are where you think the classroom is, where you're saying, okay, I know that people are thinking about this mindfulness and meditation as an alternative to detention and punishment. If you made something that was filling a need for that, maybe that's not exactly useful for me, but it gets me thinking, right, about how I might be actually connected to the thing. So maybe that's a thing to think about as well. It certainly is a thing that I'm thinking about for Darcy. She, like, having the conversation with her, oh my gosh, she just had so much. I can't even go through all of the things, because some of them I had to consciously table for later on because it was too many things for me. But one of the things was reordering I keep a long list of projects that I'm looking at it because it's hanging on the wall next to me. I keep a long list of projects that are coming up in order that I'm going to be working on them, and I reordered them because of Darcy's look at, she has some nonfiction things and fiction things for kids, and she is selling really well in nonfiction to the education market, and that has kind of opened the door for the direct to education market for her. And I have some nonfiction things on my list, but they were way down at the bottom. And so I have sort of reordered them more toward the middle because of that balance thing. I don't want to just only be able to write in one area and to only be known for one kind of book or one set of books, because I want to have a very long-term career. Although I have to say that Mary Pope Osborne is, you know, doing pretty darn well with those Magic Treehouse books. There's what are we up to, like 785 of them? Like, there's a lot of Magic Treehouse books. So, you know, I could go that route maybe. But I don't know if my series would end up being nearly as popular as hers. So then maybe I'd have 785 books, the first 4 of which sell.
That's
but
interesting.
anyway,
Okay, so you were,
you know.
The diversification really impacted on you, and the nonfiction for kids. Wow. Wow. Yeah, I must admit it didn't do that for me. Like, I was like, nope, I refuse to write nonfiction. But that's me being a bit snobby, probably. Maybe after 10 years of not selling any of my fiction books, I'll finally write some nonfiction for kids.
I'm not a wagon jumper. I wouldn't have added it to my list, but I already had it on the list. But I always thought of it as, okay, after I get done with this idea and this idea and this idea, I also have these, which I know that my son wants me to write. My son adds things to my list all the time. I'm like, you need to stop making work for me. You could do some of these. But he is huge on he's huge on nonfiction books. Like, he prefers nonfiction reading, and so then a lot of the books that he's added to my list are nonfiction. So I've just kind of reordered them a little bit so they can move up to the top.
Yeah, that's interesting. I must admit, for some of the later meditation Lolly books, Lolly's the character. I have been putting in some non-fiction or some non-fiction facts. Well, facts, and so I've had to look up things. And I just the other day walked in to the bedroom. My husband was already in bed, and I said, "You know what? I'm actually enjoying learning about real life because I live in fantasy land." And he's like, "Good." And it was like, that's really weird. I'm writing fantasy books, but I'm actually putting a lot of, fact stuff in them. And I never thought I would actually like it as much as I'm liking it. So
look at you authoring so hard. This is one of my favorite things on the other like little Facebook groups is seeing people who will post they're like, you're a fantasy author when you have Googled exactly how like two random things put together. Dragonflies fly, and also how you can do a ship in a bottle within the last 3 minutes. Right?
Oh dear. Great. Okay, so who have we missed, or what key thing did we miss?
I think that we've done the whole list. I meant to say, I'm looking at my list now. I meant to say that from the school visits thing, in addition to actually doing more of them, I really got from Tara. Did I say that? Mm-hmm. Her school visits menu on her website is amazing. It's really, it's like actually set up like a menu of items, and I am in good teacher fashion totally going to use that. Not her exact menu items, but as a concept. And so
okay.
Yeah, that's going to appear within this quarter. That's going to be on the website. So we'll see.
That's a good one. And I loved, just one last thing, I loved the way, and I'm probably paraphrasing it completely wrong, but from memory, Emma was doing like little competitions, wasn't she? Like for the kids to really get them involved with the, writing their own fiction, which I thought was a really good idea as well. I think that would really work in Australia.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. So then maybe you would be pitching yourself as a writing workshop person rather than pitching yourself as an author visit, which ends up being one and the same, but
Yeah, but I do tend to learn best by teaching when I don't know anything. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I don't know it yet, but by having to teach it, I have to learn it. And then by teaching it, I now know it. Yeah, it's kind of, it's good. That works for me. So that's probably, one that I'll try this year.
All right. Okay, so we have what we're doing coming up. Whew. And is there anything else you want to add to your, I know. So I think we're thinking right now that we're going to do these at steady increments, maybe. So after 6 more people or so.
Yep. So it'll be the 7th show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So on the multiples of 7. So we will check back in on what we have done with these things. Hopefully we won't be all talk. Hopefully I won't be all talk.
Yes. You won't be all talk, but I'll be all talk. I'll have to write a good excuse. The dog ate my marketing plan. I'm sorry.
That's right. And see which of these things are sort of working out with us. I'm excited to be able to report back over time. So you can see my daughter and the cat in the background. My house is
in the background.
So I am excited to be able to report back over time if I end up moving my prices back again, and if I think that the Amazon marketing services ads are being as helpful as Facebook ads have been for me. Facebook ads have been very, very helpful for me. And so I would love to be able to not just only have Facebook be the place. So thank you, Justin, for the nudge in the Amazon marketing services direction. Is there anything particularly that you want us to be thinking about back with you when we meet back again? And it's hilarious. It's like crawling around behind me.
Gosh. Probably for me, top of my list from everybody we spoke to, like the top one is the craft. stuff, because as that new author, like as I'm leaving the meditation first person series, yay! I want to spend a bit of quality time studying the craft and having a go at it and working with a developmental editor. I don't necessarily want to just chuck the next thing out. So that's probably where I'll spend most of my attention for the next couple of months. And, little bits and bobs of the price stuff and the advertising stuff. But I probably won't get serious about the school stuff until sort of June onwards. I think for me is probably like more realistic. But plan some of it out and maybe send out some letters to them, I think why not do that now?
Yeah, well,
that's where I'm at.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
So I am excited for that. We didn't say, I don't think, or I hope that we haven't already said, because we've been talking for a while and I'd hate to repeat, that the idea of working on craft as a part of your marketing strategy, because if you are advertising something that ends up being not that good, then that just kind of speeds its demise, I think. And so then I personally really think of craft as a part of the whole marketing strategy.
Yeah.
So I think it's on topic is what I'm saying for this.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's like throughout, you're right. It's well, if you don't write a good book, then there's no point calling yourself an author. Well, so why I can't call myself a Jet. But I'll get there. I really will. You'll see.
So for people on the video, not on the video feed, I just gave her a face because she deserves one for that. I'll give her another one.
But that's the point of the podcast too, isn't it? It's to show our development as much as everybody else's. And
that's true.
If we're just our real selves, then that's you'll watch episode 100 and be like, is that them? Is it the same them?
Yeah.
And we'll be like J.K. Rowling. We're still the same. I remember her saying, I'm still the same person. I'm just better dressed. So we'll, by then we'll be so successful. We'll be the same us, but we'll just be better dressed.
Yeah, that's true. That's good. That's a wonderful aspiration. Let's hold on to that. So, if I can't have Mark Dawson's cash, then I will totes take J.K. Rowling's cash. No problem. I can take one for the team on that. All right. So it has been lovely to hang out with you as always.
You too.
And will you tell everybody where they should look for us?
So you can find us at www.indiekidlit podcast. Does it have a the? I've got to remember. I've got to look up. Does it have a the? The Indie Kidlit podcast?
I think it's just indiekidlitpodcast.com. That's terrible. We're going to dub over this in the end. I think it's indiekidlitpodcast.com.
So www.indiekidlit.com. And we'll have links to the interviews that we have done prior that we referred to in the show notes of this show, so that you can always go back and refer to the interview we were talking about.
Wonderful. All right.
Good.
Until next time.
Take care.